Greetings all, it's Dr. Bankhead at the Struggle Inn. My TikTok number 2. Who the F was my friend part 2. Fast friends. We would hang out on a few occasions, and she shared some of her wit and intelligence by sharing anecdotal stories. She shared one experience that I made note of in which she considered herself to be quite clever. It entailed attempting to return something she'd purchased, and after the cashier clerk informed her that their policy only allowed for the return of defective merchandise, she requested to borrow some scissors, which the clerk obliged, and the which caused damage to the merchandise in front of what I imagine was a very baffled and surprised clerk. With no arguments, she got the refund. As you can see, I've never forgotten that incident. It was one of the first dots. There were 2 first dots. 2 of the other co-workers had shared their impressions of the witch, which they accurately identified as a shapeshifter. They did not use those words. I'm using those words. They observed that her behavior around me was 180 degrees different with them when I wasn't around. But when she came around, when I was around, she was nice and sweet. But when I wasn't around, she acted as though they were invisible. Or she would be rather rude when she did speak. So I had 3 dots on the connect the dot picture. I faced a lot of difficult hurdles in the workplace, difficult colleagues. One woman and I shared the same assignments, and she, the other woman, chose to move into another office. This woman got fired, lost her income and husband, made arrangements to move, and was murdered on the day of the move. Excuse me. Now I wonder if that hit wasn't put on someone working on the assignment and that hit was meant for me. Anyway, crazy, unbelievable challenges and hurdles, plus I could never get a raise and I was unhappy, drained, and stressed. But I trudged on. That's when the vulture was put as the supervisor in my division. The vulture would target me and one other person in the office of about 7 people. He never bothered the other 5, just us 2. I was a hard worker. I was closing cases that had been laying around for years. That did not stop the vulture from bothering me. If I got up to leave my cubicle, he was there, Johnny on the spot, asking where was I going, including the bathroom, and how long was I going to be there? How long was I going to be gone? Yes, to the bathroom. When the other 5 could come and go as they pleased, take breaks, go to lunch, they were never questioned or timed. But us 2, we got hell. I calmly let my other coworkers know how I felt. I told them they could be silent about the inequity as long as they wanted, but I was moving on, and when I left, they were going to be the targets. But still, no one took up for me. And before anyone gets the wrong idea, 99% of the people in this story are Black, with the one exception being the vulture, who was self-identified as Jewish. Yes, the treatment was very unfair. I confided in the witch, believing her to be a friend. I implored her to help me if she could. At that juncture, she was well positioned in her city government job, and thanks to her intervention, I was granted a relocation opportunity to a better job placement. Still, as I can recall, barely a raise. If so, I do remember any raise I got was temporary and returned to the old grade within 6 months, something like that. So I really was thankful for the witch looking out for me. Remember, at this time, She was cloaked, and I considered her to be a friend. The elevation lasted for a few months before there was a change in the administration, and I was moved to another office. More unhappiness and stress ensued. By this time, I had moved out of the city into the country, and that was a 90-minute ride one way to work. Excuse me. I was able to carpool with a neighbor and changed my work schedule to accommodate my drive. Ultimately, I was so unhappy, I made up my mind to just leave. All of my efforts at job hunting were unsuccessful. I got feedback. In one instance, the office director, chuckling, said to me that she'd gotten a call for a reference, and she slipped up and mentioned to the prospective employer that I was opinionated. And, well, you are a lawyer after all. You should be expected to have opinions. And she purposely blocked my job opportunity. In another instance, out of desperation, I applied for a legal secretarial position, and the interviewer said I had only included my undergraduate info on the resume. The interviewer said that they don't hire people who plan on attending school. And I told her that I had all the education that I planned on getting as I was burnt out from school at that point. The interviewer said, "You don't seem to be the kind of person that would be content with just a bachelor's degree." And so my job hunting efforts were thwarted. Simultaneously, the witch was in my ear saying, "Yes, it's better to have a new job in place before you leave your old job. That way you'll be sure to have income." Reasonable, right? But no, I was unhappy, and there was no way I saw myself living my days out like that. So I was miserable on the job, and as you can begin to see, the events will appear to be logical and reasonable. There might be a small red flag, but nothing major. Nothing to draw attention to the possible improper motive.